Governor George Allen of the great Commonwealth of Virginia, as always, good to see you. Welcome.
Good to be with you, Sam.
You and I agreed before we started filming we were going to talk about Washington and all the things happening up there, this Doge committee or commission or whatever, the dynamics it's undertaking, the feathers that it is ruffling. When you came in as governor of Virginia, you also did some government reorganization. I'll be mild with that wording and phrasing, but I believe it bears some similarities to what's being undertaken now in DC. Would you take the lead on it right now and say what you did and what its overlap may be and what similarities it may have with the situation in DC right now as far as making government lean and dealing with terminating or whatever government employees? I'm not sure what happened, but you can give the details on that.
All right. Well, there are a lot of similarities. When I came in as governor, my very first, after being sworn in, within minutes, I signed an executive order creating a strike. We call it a strike force on government efficiency. And there were citizen members that were put on this commission, and they were going to look at ways of utilizing the taxpayers' money more efficiently. What Doge is doing, I think it has the potential to be outstanding in the Trump administration in looking at it: inefficiency, duplication, excessive regulations, waste of money. It's very similar as a mission to what we did when I was governor. The mission in both were great. The key in it is implementation and good judgment in executing it. Regulations. They talk a lot about regulations. We'll talk about wasteful spending and duplication, and that's all understandable. But regulations are almost as big a concern for enterprises and businesses as are taxes. The cost of regulations, particularly on small businesses that don't have the economies of scale to comply like big, say, manufacturers do, is really a big concern. And there is so much duplication, triplication, or regulations that have been on the books for a long time, and there's better ways of achieving whatever that particular goal is. And in Virginia, our commission systematically, in every cabinet agency, systematically, methodically went through every regulation, determined the purpose. Was it the purpose still worthwhile? And what is the least burdensome way of achieving that goal? After 4 years, 71% of the regulations in Virginia were either repealed or amended. 71% amended or repealed. And that ought to be done every 10 years anyway, because there's always better ways of doing things. And I think that'll be a big positive impact from this Doge Commission. Now, as far as agencies and finding wasteful spending, I think they're doing a pretty good job with it. They've made a few mistakes, but for the most part, they're finding a lot of wasteful spending, and to the extent they can, try to stop it. EPA, Lee Zeldin, the administrator, found this $20 billion slush fund for a bunch of green, sappy ideas that are a waste of money, and I don't know if he'll be able to claw it back or not. But those are the sort of things that they'll find out, and they found out a lot of things that were really either ridiculous, detestable, or shameful waste of money. So it can be done, it should be done, and you ought to look out for the taxpayers to make sure the government is focused on its core mission.
Governor, how long did this enterprise of yours exist on a formal basis? Was it for so the viewers understand, was it for the duration of your
Yeah.
administration, or did you focus it for an initial intensive period of time?
No, it went on for all 4 years. We did about a quarter of the regulations, and the regulations are only a part of it. But it stayed in place, the strike force, all 4 years. The Trump administration is kind of similar to Virginia's governor, that you get one term. No, you can't run consecutive terms. And so you have to go at a full gallop with a loose cinch, get things done. And they're moving quickly with it. Ultimately, after 4 years, we reduced the workforce, the state government workforce in Virginia, by 10%. And but we had over 312,000 net new jobs created in the private sector in Virginia, which is still a record, believe it or not. That was from 1994 to 1998. And we were coming off the peace dividend. There was less defense spending because of the fall of the Soviet Union, and we just didn't need as much, and aircraft carriers and armaments and all the rest. But this one, the Doge crew wants to have their recommendations by Independence Day 2026. So they're going to move more quickly, which is fine. Which is fine. There's no reason to dawdle and figure out what they can get done. I think a lot of the regulations that they're stopping, particularly in this new green deal or new green scam, as President Trump calls it, is probably going to have the biggest immediate beneficial impact in that instead of these just blissful ideas that they think you're going to get our country operating on expensive, unreliable sources of electricity and energy that will have more produced in our country on our federal lands, federal waters, oil, gas, getting it from the sources to the consumers rather than thinking you're going to run it on these whale killing offshore wind turbines that work at best 3 out of 7 days of the week and so forth. So I think we'll have a very realistic, productive, positive energy policy in our country, which will be beneficial, obviously. That will make our electricity prices have been skyrocketing. And I think that'll help ameliorate the increases in electricity prices, gasoline prices, which of course affects farmers and our food and transportation of everything, as well as manufacturing of plastics, fertilizers, chemicals, glass, metals, tires that have natural gas as a feedstock. And we can export, now in the Trump administration, export more liquefied natural gas to our allies, particularly those in Western Europe, so that they're not captive customers of Russia. That's main source of revenue is oil and gas sales.
Governor, we can close this segment, if you will, by, I don't know if you can clarify it, but I'd like you to take a try. Much is being made of, I'll use the term, the status, the formal status or lack thereof of those in the Doge group.
Yeah.
Is that an issue in your mind? Is that a relevant concern? Is that a red herring? What are your thoughts? Again,
it's
compared with
irrelevant.
what you did years ago.
Yeah, it's absolutely irrelevant. The point is, a president or a governor gets to appoint people to his or her secretariat and agency heads and commissions and boards and all the rest. So these are people on Doge or any other commission that they say, oh gosh, who elected Elon Musk? Well, who elected anyone other than President Trump and the vice president and members of Congress? And so you have these boards and commissions, and you put good people in. You hope to put good people in to get the job done. And so that's just a distraction away from the merits of any of their recommendations to save the taxpayers' money and run more efficiently.
To boil it to a sentence or two, the president or the governor, in your case, can delegate anyone, private citizen or what, to address a given task, and that is perfectly legitimate and proper, and that person is entirely authorized to undertake those actions.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The president, the governor is elected by the people. They usually they should run on ideas and missions and saying, if you elect me, I'm going to make our streets safer, crack down on criminals, reduce taxes, make our state or country more competitive, reduce oil and energy prices, all whatever you're saying. Then the best thing you can do in keeping your promises is to select the right people to get that job done. And you delegate that responsibility to agency heads, to cabinet secretaries, to various boards and commissions. And that's exactly what President Trump's doing. It's normal. And anybody who's yelping, whining, or moaning about it is just avoiding the facts and the merits of the whole initiative.
Governor Allen, as always, Your insights are there. You certainly don't duck the questions. You give the clarity and the facts. It's always appreciated. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Pleasure's all mine, Sam. Stay strong and positive for freedom.